So that's why fasting also is so good for breaking addictions. Because literally when you get down to fasting and there's nothing there, you've got to face whatever comes up. And that can be really emotional, because that's why fasting is emotional for people, because you're literally taking away the food that blocks the emotions from coming up. So the dopamine, coffee is a great example of that kind of dance you get into in the brain, where you have the drug, you get this high, you then get addicted to the high, but while you're addicted to it and wanting more, the brain then stops giving you the same high and it has less effect. So then you want more and more. And so we get more and more focused on the external world for pleasure, as opposed to internally and happiness. And happiness is a state of being. It's very different. You can't buy happiness, but you can buy pleasure. And I'm not bagging pleasure, don't get me wrong here. I'm not saying pleasure's a bad thing. Pleasure's great. We all love pleasure, sex and chocolate and alcohol and whatever is your thing, right? Whatever's the lovely things that bring you pleasure, that's all fine. However, when you can start to distinguish the difference between what's pleasure, which is stimulating the dopamine, and what's happiness, which is from inside, which is a choice to be happy. Like Nelson Mandela is a great example in terms of happiness. Locked up 25 years, he chose to be happy. Now he had a lot of evidence for not being happy, right? If you're locked up for 25 years, that's a lot of evidence for how pissy you are at the world, right? Can you imagine being locked up for 25 years in a room smaller than this? But again, you know what? I'm locked up in here. I'm going to choose to be happy, make friends with my guards. He made lifelong friends with all his prison guards, who ended up being his lifelong best buddies. Amazing, So the choice of being happy was nothing to do with the dopamine or anything or pleasure. It was a choice. So choosing happiness is very, very different.